we're taping this on the day that we all found out that Ozzy Osbourne passed away, and that I'm so happy that he made it to the farewell concert and got to people get to get their flowers when they're alive. I think that's so beautiful rather than just a celebration after. And hearing these quotes and last year we got inducted into the Western Canadian Music Hall of Fame, and a bunch of our musician friends sent videos and quotes and things, and it's nice to feel the love. We really do appreciate that. And like we talked about the peaks and valleys, it was a risk to take a bet on our band, and it wasn't assured that singles were gonna do well, and he invested in us, and we were grateful for it.
Yeah, today when I read that Ozzy Osbourne had passed away, it was hard to believe because it was just 17 days ago that he had done that Back to the Beginning fundraiser event. 17 days ago, they raised over $190 million USD for three different charities. And then, the whole world for the last 17 days have been praising Ozzy, and him and Black Sabbath are the creators of metal, and he's a legend. And it's hard to believe. It's like he held on one last time to say thank you and to feel the love and who raises $190 million? It's like no one but Ozzy can do that. And then he passes away. It was hard to grasp today seeing that.
Yeah, but it's poetic. I think it's beautiful that he got his last one. There's no unfinished business there. Everyone got to say how much they love him and how important he was to them. In so much of life that doesn't happen, and people leave not knowing what people really think of them, or never get to see the impact they had, that again in their own little world they might not be as aware of.
It reminds me of David Bowie when he passed away. It was either like a few days before or a few days after he released his final album that nobody knew. And he knew he didn't have much time. He records an album that is about life and death and retrospection. And suddenly he's gone and he blesses everyone with this gift. And you're listening to it knowing he's not here anymore, but you're hearing his voice and his story. And you're like, only David Bowie could pull that final trick.
Oh, and it's such a killer record too. It's one of my favorite of his records, and I find that really inspiring. I think Rough and Rowdy Ways is one of the great Bob Dylan records. I think we've all subscribed to this myth of the 27. You're supposed to do all your great work and then die when you're beautiful before as you're 27, and there's that feeling of diminishing returns, that if you keep going to the well, it'll dilute and it'll not be as good over time. And it's such a music centric thing, where when I think of other art forms, like I love the writer Al Purdy, and I love that he's like, I only started getting good in my late 40s, maybe. I had more to say. I was better at my craft. And I filmmakers who really just kind of discover themselves, or know how to address every situation. I've always been inspired by that and thought you should continue to get better, even when your instrument changes and you're Joni Mitchell and you can't sing the high notes you used to sing, but those low notes you can now hit with that tone like a baritone saxophone. Is like, there's so much weight in every word and every nuance that she does, that I reject the idea that we only can do our best work when we're younger, because I've seen so many of my heroes do some of their best work when they were faced with their mortality. Like Bowie knew he was going and this was going to be his final statement, and it's so raw and wild. And 'Tis a Pity She Was a Whore. What the hell is that song and that drum beat? It's like he was pushing the boundaries and playing with wild, adventurous young jazz musicians, and that it's just so inspiring. Prince, at the end of his life, when he even sort of flirted with it, where it was like, oh, he's going to be in his three-piece suit playing Vegas with big horn sections now, and every song is going to be a medley of a bunch of hits. All right, he's earned that. It might not be my favorite of his eras. Wait a second. He did that for about a year, and then he grew his afro out and became Hendrix's Band of Gypsies era with a new three-piece band, and he's going to follow that with doing a solo tour with just him and a piano. Like, this guy never stops evolving. He never stops reaching and taking wild, big swings and chances. And that's the way to do it and still love it. Even if you lose people along the way and gain other people along the way, it's such an exciting life to do that. Those are that's the path that I want to aim for.
Yeah, not only does David Bowie leave you with one final album, but he was on every list of the best albums of that year when it came out. So he left you with an all-time great album.